I still remember the moment my heart sank. We were sitting in my living room, my newborn daughter asleep in my arms, when my mother-in-law, Marla, crossed her arms and said in the coldest tone, "If you don't change that baby's name, Harper, we'll cut you off. Financially, emotionally, completely." I froze. My husband, Owen, just sat there, silent, staring at the floor. The name we had chosen, Lila Grace, wasn't just a name. It was a piece of my heart. It honored my late grandmother, the woman who raised me. My chest burned with anger and disbelief. How dare they try to erase my grandmother's memory? How dare they hold their money over my head like a leash? That was the moment I knew something had to change. What would you do if your in-laws tried to force you to rename your baby or threatened to cut you off completely? Tell me in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more real stories. Before all of this, my life felt like a picture-perfect dream. I grew up in a small town, raised by my grandmother after losing my parents at a young age. She was my safe place, my rock, and the reason I believed in unconditional love. When she passed, I promised myself that when I had a daughter, I would honor her memory in a special way. Then I met Owen. He was kind, soft-spoken, and seemed nothing like the entitled men I had dated before. We married after 2 years, and for a while, everything felt right. The only challenge was his parents, Marla and Clint. They were wealthy, influential, and used to getting their way. I always felt a quiet tension with Marla, who seemed to think I wasn't good enough for her son. Clint was more polite but distant, like he tolerated me rather than accepted me. When I became pregnant, they suddenly became very involved. Marla insisted on picking out nursery colors. Clint offered to help with hospital bills, but every offer came with strings attached. Still, I stayed polite. I thought keeping peace was best for the baby. But the day Lila Grace was born, everything shifted. At the first family gathering after we brought her home, Marla looked at me like I'd committed a crime. "You actually named her that?" she asked. I smiled proudly. "Yes. After my grandmother." Marla's face tightened. Clint cleared his throat. And that was the day they gave me their demand: change the name or lose them forever. That night, after they left, I sat in the nursery rocking Lila while tears streamed down my face. The soft hum of the white noise machine was the only sound as my thoughts spiraled. Was I really supposed to erase my grandmother's name just to keep the peace? Owen sat on the edge of the bed, his face pale. Maybe we could just call her something else around them," he said softly, as though suggesting we put a bandage over a bullet wound. I stared at him. "You mean lie about our own daughter's name just to make them comfortable?" He didn't answer. The silence between us grew heavy, almost unbearable. Over the next few days, the tension consumed our home. Marla kept calling, her voice sharp and clipped. "We're giving you a week to make this right," she said. I felt humiliated, like they were treating me as some reckless teenager instead of a grown woman and a mother. Every time my phone buzzed, my stomach knotted. I tried reasoning with them, explaining the meaning behind the name. Clint just sighed, saying, "We just don't think that name fits into the family." Fits into the family? As if my baby needed their approval to exist. I stopped sleeping, waking up every few hours to check if Lila was breathing, clutching her tiny hand as if someone might take her away. My anger started boiling into something darker: determination. If they wanted to treat me like a child, fine. But I wasn't going to bow down. Not this time. Every diaper change, every late-night feeding, I kept whispering her name, Lila Grace, like a battle cry. It became my mantra, my rebellion. And slowly, the fear started to burn away, leaving only resolve. They had no idea what was coming. Something shifted in me after that week of endless calls and condescending messages. I stopped answering their texts altogether. Instead, I began making quiet moves of my own. The first step was contacting a lawyer just to know my rights. I learned that no one, not even grandparents, had any legal say over my child's name. That fact alone gave me a rush of power I hadn't felt in weeks. At night, while Owen slept, I started keeping a journal, writing down everything Marla and Clint had said to me. Every threat, every insult. I didn't know exactly how I would use it yet, but I knew I would. I also started taking photos of Lila, posting them online with her full name in the captions. Friends and family flooded the comments with love for her and the name we'd chosen. Piece by piece, I was building a wall of support around us and setting the stage for something they would never forget. 2 weeks later, I invited Marla and Clint over for what they thought was a peace talk. I set the living room perfectly, toys neatly tucked away, coffee brewed. Lila dressed in her cutest little onesie with her name embroidered across the chest in big, bold pink letters. When they arrived, Marla's lips pressed into a thin line. "So," she said, sitting down stiffly, "have you come to your senses?" I took a deep breath, my heart pounding, not with fear this time, but with certainty. "No," I said, my voice steady. "But I have come to a decision." I slid a manila folder across the table. Inside was a copy of the legal paperwork I had filed the day before, officially securing Lila's full name on her birth certificate, social security record, and even opening a small savings account in her name. "This is her name," I said firmly. "Legally, permanently. And if you ever try to undermine me as her mother again, you will not be welcome in her life." Marla's face went crimson. Clint shifted uncomfortably. "You wouldn't dare cut us off," Marla snapped. I smiled, calm and unshaken for the first time. "Watch me." I then pulled out my phone and showed them the hundreds of supportive comments under Lila's photos online, people praising the name, calling it beautiful. For once, they had no words. They left in silence. And for the first time since bringing Lila home, I felt like I could breathe. After they left, I sat in the quiet living room holding Lila, her tiny fingers wrapped around mine. The tension that had been choking me for weeks seemed to lift, replaced by a steady calm. For the first time, I realized what this fight had really been about. It wasn't just about a name. It was about power, about whether I would let someone else dictate how I raised my child. I had always been a peacemaker, the type to bend and compromise to keep everyone happy. But becoming a mother changed me. I wasn't just protecting myself anymore. I was protecting the little girl in my arms, the one who depended on me for everything. Standing up to Marla and Clint taught me that boundaries aren't cruel, they're necessary. It taught me that love doesn't mean obedience, and that family doesn't get a free pass to disrespect you just because they share your last name. The victory wasn't just legal, it was emotional. For the first time, I felt like I had stepped fully into my role as a mother, strong, capable, unshakable. And in that moment, I knew Lila would grow up seeing her name not just as a memory of my grandmother, but as a symbol of the day her mother found her voice. In the weeks that followed, everything felt different. Our house was quieter, no more constant calls, no passive-aggressive messages. At first, Owen struggled with the distance from his parents, but slowly he began to see how peaceful life could be without their constant interference. He even thanked me one night as we watched Lila sleep. "You were right," he whispered. "She deserves to grow up without all that drama." "We both do." I smiled, relief washing over me. We started focusing on our own little family, taking long walks, decorating the nursery together, celebrating small milestones without worrying about what anyone else thought. To my surprise, Clint eventually reached out, apologizing quietly over the phone. He admitted they had gone too far and asked if they could visit, on our terms. I agreed, but made it clear, our boundaries were not up for negotiation. And when they finally came to meet Lila again, Marla didn't say a word about her name. She simply held her granddaughter, tears in her eyes, as if she finally understood what that name meant to me. For the first time, I felt we could move forward, not as a family ruled by control, but as one rebuilt on respect. Looking back, I realized this battle was never just about a name, it was about finding my own strength. Sometimes protecting your child means standing up to the people you once called family, even if it costs you their approval. Lila's name is more than a tribute to my grandmother. It's a symbol of courage, of learning to trust my instincts as a mother. And to anyone out there facing pressure to compromise your values, stand firm. Your voice matters. What about you? Would you have stood up to them or kept the peace? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more real stories.